Hello and welcome to my FlossTube. This is Nancy and this is Bohemian Stitchery. I'm smiling because this is about the fourth attempt I've made to do this video. I am going to get this video done. So this is a channel mostly about cross stitch. It is Wednesday afternoon, early evening. It's the 11th of October. And the reason I'm recording on a Wednesday night is because I need to record a video because it's been absolutely ages. I have a pile of whips, which, you know, is huge next to me. So if I don't start showing you some of the things that I've been working on, the next video is going to be so long that nobody's going to want to watch it. So I thought, right, I've pulled everything out that I've worked on and we'll have to get on with it. So I'm sorry about the light because it's, as I said, it's just after 6 o'clock in the evening. I've got my glass of wine. That'll keep me going. Probably because I started a new job on Monday, so my brain is a little bit fried. I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm sure it'll all come clear, but right now I'm totally out of my depth. So my new job, I'm essentially a judge's associate at the Employment Tribunal here in South Australia. So there is so much to learn that I just feel clueless. Anyway, right, so let's talk about fun things like cross stitch. I have been doing a lot of stitching again, as I said last video, because I've been playing lots of stitch games from Facebook. Now, I'm not sure whether I mentioned the first time, the reason I got onto these stitch games is because I'd been watching Jen, the caffeinated stitcher, and she was the one who talked about them, and I thought, oh, that sounds like fun. Right up my alley. I love the stitch games because first of all, they give me a challenge. They have me like pick up whips that I wouldn't necessarily pick up. I like kind of being told what to do, so to speak. So I like saying, oh, well, you've got to do 200 stitches on this, or, you know, 500 stitches on that. So the games that I'm playing this month are both with semi-sane stitches. I've also got Down Under Divas. That's the other Facebook group. They do a lot of prompt challenges. So I tend to kind of, you know, do them simultaneously. This month I've got a team game again. I'm also doing an individual game, but I'll talk about that a bit later because what I'll do is I'll go through everything I've done since the last FlossTube, which was the end of the Go Stitch game. And I'm pleased to announce I actually did every single day for Go Stitch. I managed all 30 days. It was cutting it pretty fine towards the end, but I did it. So I'm going to try and go through everything that I've got. I've realized that I haven't got my glasses, so I can just see them on the table over there. So just talk amongst yourself while I go and get those. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to read anything. So just give me a moment. There we go. See, I'm still in my work clothes. I should have just put my hoodie back on. It's much more comfortable. So, okay. So from the time that I last saw you, we were at about day 15, I think, of Stitch Go. I'm going to try and get everything out of my pile here without making too much noise. And being too annoying. All right, so day 16, the letter that was called was W. So I had quite a few choices of W, and I pulled out, not that one. I think I'd be a little more organized here after I've attempted this 5 times, wouldn't you? But no, of course not. Here we are, this is the one. Okay, so I pulled out the Wildflower Woodland Quaker Stitch Along, which was by Tempting Tangles. Now, I'm not going to give you photos of where I was before, just because that means loads and loads of editing, and the photos don't always come out that well. So I'll just show you where I am now. Now, I can't show you a picture of what this one looks like when it's finished because it was a stitch along, but I'm quite a long way along. So let's see if I can show you this one. I'll hold that up so you can't see the light through it. So that's where I'm at. As you can see, I'm a good 2/3 finished on this one. Now, oops, sorry, Stitch Go had you do 200 stitches, or I chose the level to do 200 stitches. And so what I did is I stitched this little bunny here and a few more bits and pieces around here. So this is one which it's pretty close to a finish. So I think what I'm trying to do is gather together a list of the whips which are actually very close to finishing. And I'm thinking maybe what I might do next year, plans for next year, 2023, is put them on a whip go board. Don't know, possibility. Incidentally, if you're wondering what's going on here, it's nothing dodgy. I was out running yesterday morning very early. We've got daylight saving here, so I was out at 5 a.m. It was pitch dark. I tripped over a curb and landed pretty much face first on the road. Luckily, I landed hand first on the road, not face first on the road, and I've actually shredded the heels of my hands. So if you're wondering why I've got band-aids on my hands, that's what it is. And by the way, yes, it hurt like hell, but I still went and did my training because I didn't want to waste the fact that I actually managed to drag my butt out of bed at 5 a.m. There was no way I was going to turn around and go back. So anyway, so that's just an aside. So yeah, Wildflower Woodland Quaker, that got about 217 stitches of love. Right, now the next one, day 17, was an O. I'm going to hold off on that one because that one comes up a lot more and I'm pretty pleased with where that's at. You can guess, anybody who's been watching my FlossTube for a while will know that O stands for Old Smoky, but he's coming, so just give me a bit. Right, day 18 was G. So I picked the Guardians of Notre Dame Sal. This one's by Ingleside Imaginarium. I think I showed this to you in the last one, but I've now done another 260 stitches on it. And the first Guardian is starting to appear because we started on the back stitch. There you go. So as you can see, oops, let's get around my glass of wine there. With the back stitch is really starting to show out. Now I've got this listed to come up in my stitch game that I'm playing this month. So if I get to it, that should give me a good 700 or 800 more stitches on this one. So I really enjoy it. I enjoy all my whips. Actually, I lie. There was one I had that came up that I didn't enjoy that much, but it's been nice to see a bit more progress on that one. So that was a G. Let me put that one away. Right, so then 19, day 19 was H, and H was a new start for me, and it was called Hairdresser by Gordon Hanley. The kit is a DMC kit. I just realized I didn't show you a finished picture of the Guardians, so I will attempt to put one in. I don't know. Anyway, so this one is one of a set of kits that I have. I have all 4 of them. I think I showed them to you in my kit parade. So this one's called Hairdresser, and it's got a real sort of, you know, painterly feel to it. I love it. It is full coverage. Yes, it is absolutely full coverage. I was going to say, was there half stitches in the sky, but it's not. It's only a small full coverage, but it is still full coverage. Now, I did 260 odd stitches on this from the middle. It's not a huge start, but it's a start. Anything's a start. Sorry about the needle, which is still in there. So that's where I'm at. Now this is being done. This all came in the kit. I think it's a 16 count Ada. So quite a bit of block stitching. Discovered there is some fractionals in there. Fractionals on Ada are never much fun, but you know, I really love that set. There's a set of 4, and they're going to look fantastic when they're all done. Oh, they'll all be done. They will. They'll be done one day, I promise. All right, now day 20, we got X again. Now, I don't know if any of you remember, my X was a little mini kit of the little mouse, the Zero Miss. Where is he? Oh, it's so small, I can't even find it. Where is Zero Miss? There he is. Right. So I did 200 more stitches on Zero Miss. Actually, I didn't. I did a tiny little bit on the mouse and the rest of it on the X. So sorry Sorry, that's not focusing very well. There you go. So that is going to be an easy win. That's going to be an easy finish, that one. So I think that one will become one of my travel pieces when I finish working on the piece that is currently my travel piece, which I haven't got with me. And I need to show that to you as well. It's still on the hoop. Sorry, on the Q-snap, but I'll do that afterwards. Right, okay. Next one, day 21, we got a wild card. I picked Old Smoky again. I'm going to leave him till the end because he came up right at the very end as well. Wild card just meant you picked whichever and did 200 stitches. Right, 22 came up with J. Now, I did have a new start for J, but I just didn't feel like doing another new start. Can you imagine me not wanting to do another new start? I don't think I was that inspired by the new start. Anyway, so what I did is I called Go Stitch. Now, Go Stitch meant that I had to stitch double the amount of stitches, but I could do it on whichever project I wanted. So because I was also attempting to do one of the prompt challenges from Down Under Divas, I picked up one of the two pieces where I thought I'd try and do 2,000 stitches on them. Just to preface, I didn't manage 2,000 stitches on either of them, but I didn't do too badly. With this one, I think in total I managed 1,400 stitches over the month. This is Spirit of Marken. It is by Long Dog Samplers. It's all been done in a purple Eversoir, horrible, I shouldn't say that, silk, which has a mind of its own and twists and turns and whatever, but it looks great. Such a great colour. So I overall, across the whole stitch game, I managed, as I said, 1,400 stitches in that. I think I have a picture of what it'll look like. That is Spirit of Marken. So it's a typical fabulous detailed Long Dog sampler, which is quite fun just doing it in a single colour. I just wish the silk was a bit easier to stitch with, but nah, c'est la vie. It is what it is. There we go. So that's what we did. All right, then number 23 came up with B. Now, again, dovetailing into the prompts from Down Under Divas, I in total wanted to do 1,000 stitches on this one for the month, which I did. In fact, I did more than 1,000. I did about 1,150, I think. And this is my beach sampler. Now, I'll show you a picture of what it will look like finished. This comes from a magazine. I think it's a Cross Stitcher magazine from 2001. That's the picture. And I said before, it was charted in Anchor. I'm using a DMC conversion, so the colours are a little bit different. Actually, there, that's probably a better picture of it. You can get a better idea. Okay, so I'm doing it on just a piece of scrap 14 count. Which makes it easy to stitch. In fact, I managed to stitch this one on the bus for quite a few sessions because it was easy enough. And that's where I'm at. So I got, as I said, just over 1,000 stitches on this. So it's moving on quite nicely. Easy stitch, travel stitch, very wide space, 14 count Ada with very little space on the edge because that's just how I roll. All right, so that was B. Okay, beach sampler. Right, next we had D. D came up on day 24 and day 26. So I brought out the only D I had, which was Damask Roses by Mirabilia, and she is impossible to find. Where is she? Here she is. Oh, sorry. Okay, here she is. Here she is. Yeah, I didn't do too badly. So obviously she came up twice, which means I ended up doing 400 stitches on her. Here she is. This is what she's going to look like finished. Now this is Mirabilia number 1. This is the very first Mirabilia that came out. It's beautiful, but unlike all the rest of them, it has no beads. Okay, so I'm doing it on a piece of natural linen. I think it is a 32 count natural linen. And this is where I got to. Look at that. Her roses are coming out beautifully. So that's obviously her head. Let's start with her head. But I was just so thrilled at how the definition of those roses started to come out in just 400 stitches. So yeah, very pleased. Okay, so that was my D. So that was day 24 and day 26. Now, day 25 got called, and it was T. Now, I was in a bit of a dilemma about T, because the T whip that I had, I was very uninspired by. I don't know why I'm uninspired by it. It's a pretty piece. It's a Jane Greenough, and it's actually a series of little smalls. It's called the Tansy Stitches Trio. That's what it'll look like finished. So you've got a little scissor kind of pocket, a pin cushion, and this lovely etui, as you can see. I think what I was uninspired by is I was trying to get all these done on the bus, and there is a lot of specialty stitches, a lot. In fact, it's probably majority specialty stitches as opposed to cross stitch. And I'd already started, I mean, this is, and I think I showed you this in my whip parade, that was where I'd started on the etui, which meant I'd done the bulk, the cross stitch at the top. And from here, most of the bands are all specialty stitches. So I knew there was no way I was going to get it done on the bus. And I hummed and hawed, and I said to my lovely group, oh, I'm just uninspired. I don't know what to do. Because if I go stitch, that's another 400 stitches. I'm already running behind, and I was running quite behind at this point. So I was like, you know what, Nancy, suck it up. You've started it, do it. So actually what I did is I just started on the, let's try and do that where you don't see the light through it. I just started on the outline of the scissor pocket, which was easy enough to do on the bus. So it was a bit of a cheat, but it was 200 stitches. Look, you know what? If I've started something, I'm going to see it through. I am. Because it's pretty. It's not like I hate it. It just doesn't inspire me as much as some of the others. But I will see it through. So anyway, so it did get a little bit of love. Not sure. I think this is why the stitch games are really good, because it forces me to give love to things that I might not give love to because I don't love them. I know that's cruel, but you know. Right. 1 second. Okay, that was T. Now, 26 was Damask Roses again. Right, 27. Let's do it. This was J again. I wasn't going to make a new start. I was going to pull out my Go Stitch, and this time I pulled out Old Smoky. So let me show you where he's at. He actually comes up. He's had a few more stitches in this month's stitch games. I'm going to have to stand back for this one, because he's big. He is a big boy. Hang on. Are we ready? Oh, we're not going to be able to see it because you can see the light through. Whew, here he is. Oh, you see the light through. I'm so sorry about that. Right, I wonder whether I can, sorry, I'm having to stand up here, hold something up so you can't see the light quite so much. Oh, isn't he massive? There he is. He's got a face. There we go. There's his, and he's even got some smoke. I'm sorry about the light. Oh, that's so lousy. Hang on. Is that better? No. There we go. Okay. See it. He's got a face. He's even got a bit of smoke. He is so close to being finished. All he needs now is his wings. I need to finish his smoke off up here, and that's all done in half stitches. He needs his wings, and he needs his wool, and then he is finished. I am so thrilled at where he's at. Yeah, I think I'll have a little party when he's done. So as you all know, he's my oldest whip. He's not quite 25 years old. He is going to be finished before he reaches 25 years old. And then I was thinking about it, like going, okay, what's my next oldest whip? I do know what it is. And I think what I'll do is I'll pull out my next after he's done. He's kind of a focus piece, if I could have a focus piece, which I don't really. But he's the one I kind of, if I'm thinking, oh, I need to just do something, I'll try and put a few stitches in on him. So my plan is hopefully to get him finished, and then I'll go on to my next oldest whip and work my way backwards from there and just keep starting new things at the other end. So, okay, so that was 27. That is where Old Smoky got to. Then 28, we had an eye. Now, eye took me back to right back to the beginning because that was on day one. That was my new start. That was my heaven and earth in the springtime, which I love. And as you all know, I'm doing extreme cross country in black, so there's not really a lot to see. So I put in another 200 stitches, so I think I've got 400 in total on that now. So that was 28. 29 came up as B again, which was the beachside sampler, which I've done, and then 30 was S, which was Spirit of Marken, which I haven't shown you. So that was Go Stitch. I made it. I hadn't thought I'd get all 30 days, but I did. Woo. What I didn't manage was I was going to try and do 2,000 stitches on Spirit of Marken. I did about 1,400, as I said. I was going to try and do 2,000 on Old Smoky. I think I did about 1,700 on him. I managed the 1,000 on the beach sampler, but I think that's all I managed. But that's okay. October was a new month, so. Okay, so October began, and there are 2 stitch games in October that I'm playing. Number one is a puzzle game. This one is similar to the Battleship game I played a couple of months ago. So in order to get a puzzle piece, you have to stitch 1,000 stitches, or as a team, you stitch 1,000 stitches. As soon as you got the 1,000, you get given the puzzle piece, and then somebody's got to put the puzzle together. What's been really lovely is Carla, who is Stitch Me Sane. She reached out to me just before October started and said, oh, I'm quite interested in playing. And I said, well, how about we go on a team together? Because one of the problems I have or had is I was the only Australian on the team, which meant everything was happening while I was sleeping. And then I'd wake up and I'd have this lovely long chat, but of course I'd miss out on all of it. And I thought, when Carla said she wanted to do it, I was like, oh, that'd be so nice to have somebody who's like on my time zone so that, you know, we can work together. Anyway, what has been so wonderful is she and I have just been chatting back and forth, you know, not just about stitching, mainly about stitching, but just about everything. And she's just one of the loveliest people. I mean, I've never met her face to face, but I actually feel like I've made a new friend, and a really good new friend. It's just been wonderful. So that's what these stitch games are all about. That's what FlossTube does. So yeah, so it's been great. So she and I have been kind of working on pieces together. While the rest of the team, I've either done it as a pair or an individual, etc. So we're just about to try and submit our second puzzle and to get on to our third one. The other game I'm also playing is called Dominoes. So the way that Dominoes works is that you've got to link your whips together somehow. Creative links are encouraged. Each whip you link to next has to increment by whatever increments you've chosen. I chose the 50 stitch increments. So I started off doing 50 stitches. The next one I linked to it did 100 stitches, next one 150, 200, and so on and so forth. So where I'm at last night, I just finished the one with 600 stitches. The linked one is now 650, and so it goes. So obviously I'm slowing down. I had a week off between jobs where I was sort of home with the kids, so I got quite a lot of stitching done. Obviously back at work this week, not getting quite so much done. So, but anyway, so I'll show you my domino chain, because then what I've been doing is, as I'm stitching for the dominoes, I've then been using it for my puzzle pieces. Does that make sense? That makes sense. Okay, right, so we started with 50 stitches. Not a big lot to show you, but, oh, I can pick it up. This is a Victorian freestanding house. The reason I chose this one, just because it hadn't had a lot of love for a while. So I put 50 stitches into that one. That's where I'm at. My light's shocking in this house. The whole house needs a repaint. This is what it will look like when it's finished. And it is one of a series of Australian houses by Olga Gostin, DMC. And actually, I think another lovely thing about starting it's because of this one that I actually was introduced, or somebody told me about Stitch Me Sane, about Carla, because they said, oh, she was running a stitch along for, you know, historic houses. So that's where I started watching all her FlossTubes and, you know, one thing and another, and now we're chatting, which is lovely. Okay, so that's where I started with 50 stitches. Then I linked the next one by saying this one had a window in it, and the next one, sorry, I just went bang. The next one had a window in it. Now, I picked this one up because it has not received much love. This is by Mystic Stitch. It's called Champagne Dreams. It's a full coverage. There we go. That's what it'll look like. I've only got it in paper, and I actually bought it off eBay from somebody who had partially started it. So I think I showed this to you in one of my whip parades. This is where it's at. Now, it looks like I've done a lot. I actually haven't done a lot of this. When I bought it, the person I bought it off had already done this first page and at least part of this second page. So I've been working down here into this. It's been done on a 14 count Ada, which makes it easy to stitch. It does make it a little bit pixely, but that's okay. As you can see, the shading is looking beautiful, even on a 14 count. So I put 100 stitches into that, and it was nice that it got a little bit of love because it hasn't had any for a while. It's kind of hard going back working on paper for full coverage since I've been using Pattern Keeper, but I do have quite a lot of paper patterns, so should get used to it, shouldn't I? All right, let's throw that down there in my pile. Okay, so I then linked that one to Wood Splitters, and the link is I got that one partially done from somebody else, and Wood Splitters I received partially done from someone else. So Wood Splitters is by Country Threads. It is full coverage. That is what it's going to look like when it's finished. And this is where we're at now. Now, again, it looks like I've done quite a lot. I wish I could take credit for it. I cannot, because the lady who donated it to me had done most of this. In fact, she'd done all of that. So I've kind of done this diagonal since, but it's coming out really well. It's been done on a 16 count Ada. It was a kit, so everything was in the kit, and still is. When the lady gave it to me, it was all there, and she'd even gridded it. So yeah, so that got 150 stitches of love. Okay, so I linked to that one because that is actually a reproduction of a fine art piece from a painting here in Australia. So I linked it to another reproduction of a fine art piece, and this is Water Lilies by Monet. That is what it will look like when it's finished. Okay, the kit actually comes from the National Gallery in London. It's also been done on a 14 count Ada, and I have this one's going quite well. Do you remember when I don't know if you watched the video where I was holding it up like this? There you go. So I worked on this square here. Again, it's kind of pixely because it's on 14 count, but I actually think the shading's looking lovely. I've got a few ninja stitches in here I need to sort out, but yeah, that one's going quite well. As you can see, I'm experimenting with doing this one square by square on the diagonal. I started off doing regular cross country, so that got a couple of hundred stitches, which is good. Okay, I linked that one because it's on 14 count. I linked it to Old Smoky, who's also on 14 count, and as much as I love him, I'm not going to bring him out again to show you because you've already seen him. So and then Old Smoky, he's got a dragon in it, obviously, and so I linked it to another one of my Heaven and Earth designs, which I have not touched for a very long time, which is called Computer Wizard. Let's see if I can show you this one. There you are. That's it's not a very good picture. I suspect when this is finished, it's going to look phenomenal. The picture doesn't do it justice at all. It was only as I brought it out, because I hadn't looked at it for a while, I realized it's massive. It's 751 stitches high by 525 wide. Yeah, it's huge. And I think I discovered that it was that big because I pulled out this just enormous piece of fabric. I was like, do I need all of this? I don't need quite all of it, but I'm not far off. So again, my option, I was going to do this extreme cross country. I'm not sure whether I'm going to have the patience to do that. This is where I'm at. Because there's about 49,500 stitches in black 310. That's a lot of black. 49,000 stitches, a lot of stitches. So at the moment, as you can see, I'm working away in black, but I just have a funny feeling I'm going to get to a point where I'm like, I'm overdoing black on this one. I want to see what else it's going to look like. So yeah, so we got 250 stitches in on that. 250, 300? I don't know. I've lost count. Something. Right. So I linked that one. I can't remember what my next link was. There was clearly a link. Oh, I do know. Yes, so with that one, I'm doing it extreme cross country. So I then linked it to Luncheon of the Boating Party, which is a piece of art by Renoir. Charted by Cross Stitch Collectibles, which I'm also doing extreme cross country in black. I don't think this one has 49,000 black stitches because it's not nearly as big, but it's still got a fairly hefty amount of black stitches. So, so yeah, this is where I'm at on that one. Lots more black, lots of black. The good thing about just stitching in one color is it does go quite quickly. I'm doing this on a 22 count Aida, 1/1, full cross. So that got some attention. All right, now that one, as I said, is charted by Cross Stitch Collectibles. So that gave me license for a new start, which I put down. There it is, a new start, which is also charted by Cross Stitch Collectibles. This one is called Sunday Afternoon in the Park. It is by Surratt, and it is perfect for cross stitch because the style of painting is called a pointillist style. I think I mentioned this before, and what the pointillist style is lots of little dots, which is kind of what we do with cross stitch. I love the atmosphere of kind of summer heat in that. You just think, look at the bustle on this lady. Oh, thank goodness we don't have those anymore. Anyway, now this was a bit of an odd one because I was going through all my fabrics, and I like to find a piece of fabric that fits perfectly, which I don't have to cut, or, that's why some of my fabrics have slightly dodgy edges, because I'm like, yep, you know what, that's going to fit. I've only got 3 centimeters on the other side. It'll be fine. It'll fit. Anyway, I found a piece of fabric which was the perfect size, but it's a really weird piece of Aida. It's very soft, it's still got like the little bits of grains through the cotton. I don't know what it's called. Anyway, so there's these little flecks, which I'm not bothered about. It's a full coverage, so it doesn't matter. But I was a bit nervous about how it was going to work because it was so soft. But, you know, once I got it into the Q-snap and got some really good tension on it, it was fine. It was fine. So I actually colour completed one colour. It wasn't hard because there was only 220 odd stitches in it. But I got a colour completion. Look, woohoo, look at that. So that's where I'm at. It's not very exciting at the moment. But needless to say, as you can see, I didn't start with black. I was a bit over black, so I started with a different colour, and that's how I managed to colour complete. So that's Sunday afternoon in the park. Right, so I linked that one. I think I linked it by saying that was a full coverage, and what I wanted to do was work on my Lady of Sunset, which I bought from Etsy. That's her. She's beautiful and obviously also full coverage. Now I'm doing her on an 18 count fabric, and she got, I can't remember how many stitches. I've lost count of where I'm up to. I think it was probably 400, something like that. Oh, no, there we are. Sideways again. There we are. That's where we're at. So I filled in quite a few ninja stitches, and it's just looking good. You know, I was very skeptical about 18, sorry, you can't see me, doing full coverage on 18 count, but I'm sold. I think it actually looks really good. It's a lot bigger, obviously, than if you do it on a 25 or a 28, but I'm not unhappy at all with the finish of a full coverage on 18 count. So she's going to be beautiful. I can't wait to actually get down to her face. So at the moment, I'm just in background. I was going to say background hell, but it's actually not that bad. This background's not too bad. There's quite a lot going on in there. So, okay, so now I linked her to another full coverage that I really wanted to work on. You can see I kind of massaged these links so that I could work on the pieces that I wanted to. And the link was, that one is perfectly square. It's 250 by 250. So I then linked it to Zinnia Dreams, which is by Film and Stitch. And she's 300 by 300. So she's perfectly square as well. Now, that last one, this one, all of these I had chosen to become part of the Wall of Women that Carla, Stitch Me Sane, has set up this idea of a Wall of Women, which I love. So all of these pieces are all kind of Wall of Women pieces. Now, I will let you know that because it leads on to what the next one is. Anyway, so I did quite a few stitches on this, all in 712. Oh my God, it's got cat hair all over it. So my cat also helped with this one. Right, so in 712, so you can't see a lot. It's very light. There we go. But yeah, so I got quite a bit done on 712 on that. And the cat really enjoyed that one. I think all of my pieces have cat in them somewhere. In fact, some of my early pieces have my previous cats in there as well. But I think anybody who is a pet owner will understand that your pets become a very integral part of your cross stitch, and there's not really a lot you can do about it. That just is. Okay, so that was Zinnia Dreams. Now, that led on to my next one. Now, obviously, Carla and I had been chatting back and forth, and we talked about the Wall of Women and da-da-da, and I said to her, I have like 20 that I would love to do. And she said, how about we do a stitch along? I'm always up for a stitch along. So what I did is I posted up on Instagram. I whittled it down to 10 that I would start like tomorrow in a heartbeat. And I sort of put them out there and I said, are there any here that you like the look of? And I also asked everybody on Instagram, and so people kind of voted, and there was a clear winner. It's definitely the one that Carla loved as well. And because she loved it, we were like, let's go for it. Now, unfortunately, the picture I've printed out is a bit blurry, but this is her. It is Floral Woman, and it is by Mummy's Hobbies Designs on Etsy. Now, the lady who runs this is lovely. Go and have a look at some of her charts. They're really beautiful. And so when we decided we were going to do it, it also happened to be that there was a sale going on. So we purchased the chart. I had a little bit of problem getting it into Pattern Keeper. It took a long time. What I quite like to do is, if there is a chart, I like to have this cover sheet on the front. So when you open up your Pattern Keeper, you can actually see the pictures. I don't know how this works because I'm not technical, but it took the file from being a 7 meg file. I actually cut out about 4 pages and added this at the front, and suddenly it was a 22 meg file and just wouldn't load. I don't know how or why. Anyway, I gave up having this picture on the front. It doesn't have there. It still took ages to load in, but it's in, it's working fine. It just took quite a long time to get there. Anyway, aside from that, so we then started Floral Woman. I managed to get her into my domino chain by saying, I think Zinnia Dreams is a woman surrounded by flowers and Floral Woman is a woman surrounded by flowers. Now, we hummed and hawed about whether we were going to ditch the background. I had a perfect piece of dark blue 28 count Lagana, which I could have used. Of course, doing this on blue would have been a challenge, but then we realized there's actually 3 different blues in this background. There's a bit of shading in there. So I think we discussed it, and I think we opted to go for stitching the whole lot. But we decided to stick with 28. So I found myself a spare piece of 28 count even weave, and I stitched 550 stitches. You can't see much. There we go. I'm in a sea of blue. So I started in the top right corner. I know Carla has started in the middle at the side, and she said to me today she's actually hit some flowers already, some flower petals. So I think she's done the right thing by starting here, whereas I'm starting up here. So I've got a bit of a ways to go before I'm going to get into some petals, but we'll get there. She's not going to be very big. I think that's my fabric. She's only going to be about that wide, and then I don't know, maybe about yay high, but on a 28 count. I mean, obviously it's tiny, but it's going to look fabulous. So if you would like to join us, it is Floral Woman Sal. I'll put that down here, or if I don't put it down here, I'll put it in the box below. On Instagram, we'd love you to join us. And support Mummy's Hobbies Designs, because, you know, why not? She's got some great stuff, and come and join us with our sea of blue. Okay, so that was that. And then from there, the only other one that I have touched is, I then moved on to going on with the Wall of Women and Etsy. This is Woman in a Field of Flowers by artwork by Etta Rosa. And this one is charted by Stitches So Beautiful. Now, I've noticed, obviously I follow Stitches So Beautiful. She's got multiple women in fields of flowers. I love them all. I can't stitch them all, and I love them all. So this one also has a stitch along happening on Instagram. So if you want to jump in on that one as well, you can. I put 600 stitches on this. 600 for me is a lot. I get a bit bored. I did start with just doing one color. I'm starting in the bottom right corner. So I added a couple of other colors in there, but nothing particularly bright or brilliant. So that's where I'm at. So I can't wait to get into that dress. It's just gorgeous. So that's the stitching that I've done. There's quite a lot there, quite a lot of stitching. As for haul, all I bought, well, obviously I bought the chart for Floral Woman. And then one of the others that I posted up in my maybe I want to start this was by Kaylee Tent Stitch from the sewing shop. And Carla said to me, oh, look, she's already doing 2 or 3 of Kaylee's. And I said, I think I need some Kaylee in my life. And she said, yes, you do. So I went and bought this one. Isn't she fab? I just love her. This is Mistress of the Hunt 3. So I'm not quite sure when I'm going to start her, but it will be soon. So that was my other purchase. So I haven't done a lot of purchasing this month. I have done a bit of starting. Plans, obviously I'm going to continue with my dominoes. I have sort of written out my chain, and in there I've got at least 1 other new start, possibly 2, depending on how far I get. Yeah, we'll just keep playing our puzzle game and see what happens into next month. There'll be other games to play, of course, and more whips to do and more things to start. Right. Just before I go, I'll give you who I've been watching on FlossTube, because I've been binging on 2 new not new FlossTubers, but I've done the binge on the FlossTubers. The first one is Jade at 310 Stitcher. I've binged all of hers. Love them. Absolutely love them. Now, she's also starting to do some charting. She's got some great charts there. Really enjoy her stitching. I love seeing her pieces grow. She does quite a bit of full coverage. So I've watched her from beginning to end. And then the other one that I started watching a few days ago, which I'm just addicted to, and this is Stitching in the Borough. I think that's right. Christine, her name is. She lives in Tennessee. She does a lot of full coverage, but let me tell you what I love about her. She has over 180 whips. I can just dream of having over 180 whips. In fact, I want to have over 180 whips. And the best thing about them is most of them are full coverage as well. So it's just fabulous to watch her. She has no worry whatsoever about like picking up another Heaven and Earth and starting that one and starting this one. And she does almost all of them on 18 count. And that's, you know, obviously looking at my 18 count and thinking, yeah, this looks good. And then seeing hers as well. And they look great. So I highly recommend going over to watch Christine at Stitching in the Borough. She's, I think I work right from the beginning. So I think I've been watching kind of, you know, from the beginning through. And I know she set up a stitch along for one of the little freebies that was on Heaven and Earth, which I have. And I'm very tempted to join in on her stitch along when I can fit in another new start. I think that's it. Otherwise, life, well, I'm running. I'm also falling over. But that's okay. I'm still running. New job, very exciting, a bit scary. I think the older you get, the harder it is. But I'm sure it won't take too long. Everybody there seems to be very nice. My judge is very nice. So, once I get used to the routine and what I have to do, I'm sure it will be fine. Kids are away with their dad at the moment. They come home on Sunday. I miss them like crazy. This house is very quiet. It's just me and the kiddies and my stitching. So it will be very nice to have them home again. Okay, I'm not going to leave it quite so long for the next one. I will try and do one at the end of October, just so I'm not like rambling on for 50 minutes like I have this time. And I will show you some stuff there. I've also discovered a whole lot of more charts that I have, which I will do another chart parade at some point. And yeah, so in the meantime, happy stitching, and I will see you all very soon. Okay, see ya. Bye.